These photographs were taken on an undetermined day in June 1973 near Ontario, Canada, by a photographer who wishes to remain anonymous, something that's not unusual in the matter of UFOs. The photographer and a friend were standing in the backyard of a country home. They saw what they thought was an airplane approaching. The silence and the very low level of the object made one man run for a camera. He got 7 pictures of the craft before it disappeared in the distance. Placing the photographs side by side clearly shows how the object progressed through the area. This is not a hubcap thrown in front of the lens, and this is not a model on a string. This object is something real that flew through the atmosphere of Earth in front of 2 gawking witnesses. This photograph was a surprise to Mrs. Hannah Roberts and her family. She snapped the picture on October the 8th, 1981, while at a rest area near the Eve River on Vancouver Island. She said she was taking pictures of her family when she noticed the clouds near the top of the peak looked like a volcano issuing steam, so she snapped this photo as well. At the time, no one noticed anything else in the air around the mountain peak. Various photographic experts have studied this photo and concluded that there are many indications that the photo is of a genuine object as much as 1,000 feet in diameter. Extensive analysis of this photo was published in APRO's Bulletin, Volume 30, Number 12. And as yet, no one has fully explained the image. Brazil has long been a hotspot for UFO activity. In addition to the classic sightings from Trinidad Island and Piata Beach, there have been many photographs of UFOs taken in Brazil. Pilots flying over the rainforest frequently report seeing a base for saucer-like craft hidden in the jungle. The photos you see here were taken at about 4 p.m. on November the 15th, 1978, by Roberto Perez. He described the craft as a circular, thick disc with domes on the top and bottom. He saw a reddish projection on the top of the upper dome, while the rest of the object was a reflective silver color. He said the motion of the object was generally smooth, but sometimes it jumped erratically. It moved fast, then slow, and sometimes almost hovered. In December 1989, hundreds of calls were received by the top Belgian research group, SOBEPS. Local citizens reported sightings of a large, low-flying, silent, triangular object over 200 feet in size. Over the next several months, SOBEPS would document over 800 sighting reports from witnesses in the area. Then near midnight on March the 30th, 1990, several police officers called a NATO radar station with UFO reports, and 1 hour later, that facility and another began tracking a UFO. Chief of Operations for the Belgian Air Force, Lieutenant Colonel Wilfred de Brouwer, ordered a scramble of 2 armed F-16 fighter jets to intercept the unknown craft. Both pilots' onboard radars locked onto the UFO over 9 times. But with each lock-on, the UFO would change its position so quickly it seemed as if it were toying with the much slower F-16s. Unlike United States Air Force UFO incidents, Lieutenant Colonel de Brouwer called a news conference and told reporters worldwide about the incident. He said, quote, "What the pilots detected was well outside the normal flying envelope of an airplane," unquote. He explained how the UFO accelerated from speeds of 150 knots to 990 knots in less than 3 seconds. He said the speeds would be impossible to tolerate for a human being. This sighting is another incident wherein radar confirmed visual sightings, and there is no conventional explanation that can account for the incident. Australia's most famous UFO incident was the disappearance of Frederick Valentich and his aircraft, while Valentich described a UFO flying near his airplane to air traffic controllers. Valentich disappeared on October the 21st, 1978. You can explore the details of that incident in the Pilots and Controllers section of the UFO Anthology. The photos you see here were taken on March the 10th, 1993. Mr. Eric Thomason was at the beach to photograph the sunrise. he planned to submit the photo to a local photography contest. After sunrise, Maussan was looking out over the ocean when he noticed a disturbance in the water. A white swirl of foam appeared far out over the waves. Suddenly, a gray circular object with a dome on top rose out of the water and moved toward the shore. Mr. Maussan said the object stopped over the beach and waited as a smaller, dark gray flying object came in from the north. The second object circled the larger disk and docked in a circular recess that opened up in the bottom. Then the larger craft sped away. Australia's most famous UFO incident was the disappearance of Frederick Valentich and his aircraft. Here you see 6 photographs taken on May the 23rd, 1971. Herr Rudi Nagora and his wife were on holiday near the town of Deutschlandsburg. At about noon, the couple heard a humming sound and witnessed this object darting about in the sky. Herr Nagora said the object circled the couple and moved so quickly that it was difficult to keep the craft in his viewfinder. He shot an entire roll of film, 12 photos. At the time, it was the longest sequence of UFO photographs ever taken at a single sighting. South and Central America have a long history of UFO activity. In Argentina, Antonio Lapere shot these 2 photos from his moving car on July 19, 1974, near the town of Balcarce. As you can see, the shape of this disc is very similar to the one photographed in 1993 near Braunschweig, Germany. When it comes to the subject of UFOs, it's not only the general public at large that have seen or have been interested in them, but presidents, senators, generals, and other world leaders have interest in or involvement with UFOs. Use your mouse and the menu above to make your selections.